U.S. Prosecutor's Office said an adult East Asian female was charged with conspiracy to possess weapons and distribute drugs and sentenced to 10 years in prison.
Over 500 grams of hard drugs, thousands of dollars in cash and loaded guns, hidden right in the middle of a peaceful neighborhood. What do you think when the perfect cover of a notorious drug dealer is finally exposed by brave undercover agents? Is the 10-year prison sentence just handed down to Timothy Lamar McGee enough of a deterrent, or is this just the opening shot for a massive DEA sweep campaign named Take Back America? Let's decode this entire breathtaking raid right now. Before we begin, please leave a comment stating your thoughts, hit like on the video, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next shocking crime files. The story begins with a very severe sentence handed down to an individual who committed serious legal violations that negatively affected social order. That is the case of Timothy Lamar McGee, a 43-year-old man residing in the city of Pensacola in the state of Florida. According to official court records, this man was officially sentenced to 10 years in federal prison for his illegal activities. This sentence is not only an appropriate punishment, but also a wake-up call for anyone intending to go against the common interests of society. Before delving into the details of this case, I strongly hope that you, the audience, will press the like button on the video to spread this message of protecting the community to even more people. Sharing useful information is a wonderful way for us to raise awareness together and build a safe living environment. Your support is the tremendous motivation for the channel to continue bringing meaningful and highly educational content. Returning to the story, the 10-year prison sentence for McGee was handed down after the defendant pleaded guilty to a series of extremely serious charges. These charges are directly related to the possession and distribution of illicit substances, as well as the illegal use of weapons. These are all behaviors strictly prohibited by law and fiercely condemned by society because of the devastating consequences they bring to the health and future of so many families. The event of McGee being sentenced officially closed an extremely arduous and challenging investigation process that lasted since 2024. At the same time, it also marked an incredibly important step forward in the effort to clean up the community from vices and violence in the Northern District of Florida area. In your opinion, how important a role does the safety of a residential area play in the comprehensive development of the children living there? The process of dismantling this complex criminal ring was not an easy task, but rather it was the result of an incredibly closely and systematically coordinated investigation. Specifically, the Pensacola Police Department and the United States Drug Enforcement Administration, abbreviated as the DEA, worked together tirelessly day and night. The cooperation between law enforcement agencies at various levels shows a unanimous determination to eradicate the roots of crime, bringing peace of mind to local residents. According to detailed information recorded from court files, the defendant's illegal activities fell into the sharp sights of law enforcement around mid-2024. Throughout the months of July, August, and September of 2024, authorities deployed an incredibly brave and resourceful undercover investigation operation. During this time, McGee repeatedly carried out illicit substance transactions with undercover officers without even knowing he was surrounded by the law. The climax of this arduous investigation took place on September 25, 2024, a day that marked the end of the subject's string of days of illegal activities. Authorities executed a highly unexpected and swift search warrant at the defendant's residence located on North 6th Avenue in Pensacola, Florida. This search was conducted comprehensively, covering the entire house and McGee's personal vehicles to ensure no crucial evidence was missed. At the scene, investigators discovered and seized a large amount of evidence exposing the incredibly dangerous operational scale of this dealer. Authorities confiscated over 500 grams of hard illicit substances, along with more than 350 grams of stimulants and over 1,000 grams of other banned plants. Notably, the level of risk to the community was also clearly demonstrated by the fact that the subject was in possession of 4 firearms, along with over $32,000 in cash and many items specifically used for distribution. We can see that the amount of illicit substances seized is incredibly large, and if they slip through, they would cause incalculable consequences for so many people. Every single gram of illicit substance confiscated means that we have saved a soul from downfall and protected the happiness of a family. Timely prevention of these perils is absolutely necessary to create a healthy living environment for everyone, especially adolescents. Faced with such utterly clear and undeniable evidence, Timothy Lamar McGee had to bow his head and plead guilty before the law. The charges, including possession with the intent to distribute large quantities of illicit substances, as well as possession of firearms to aid in the illegal trafficking, were decided. This complex case was prosecuted and litigated incredibly successfully thanks to the dedication and talent of Assistant United States Attorney Jessica Etherton, who represented the voice of justice. Dear audience, if you find that these stories about justice and the efforts to protect society bring practical value, please click subscribe to the channel so as not to miss the upcoming useful content. Following the channel not only helps you stay updated with the latest information, but is also a way for us to build a civilized and knowledgeable online community together. We always wish to accompany you on the path of spreading profound humane values. The event of McGee being sentenced is not merely the closure of an independent case, but it also carries incredibly profound and broad significance for the entire region. Mr. Daniel Escobar, the special agent in charge of the DEA Tampa Field Division, emphasized a heartbreaking truth that this dealer had sown toxic seeds into the communities in the Florida Panhandle for a long period of time. The termination of this subject's activities is truly a great consolation for innocent residents. In his speech, Mr. Escobar also did not forget to express his deep pride in the wonderful and smooth coordination between DEA agents and local police forces. Their solidarity and relentless efforts played a decisive role in bringing this dangerous criminal to the light of justice. Those wearing the law enforcement uniform had to exchange a lot of sweat and sometimes even blood to buy peace for every street and corner. Another notable point is that this 10-year prison sentence is considered by authorities as a typical victory belonging to a large-scale campaign named Taking Back America. This is a national-level initiative launched by President Donald Trump and Attorney General Pam Bondi aimed at restoring order and safety to the entire territory. This campaign demonstrates a strong commitment from the government in protecting citizens from the threats of organized crime. The core goal of this campaign is to mobilize all the power and resources of the United States Department of Justice to push back the wave of transnational crime. At the same time, the campaign also focuses on completely eliminating dangerous gangs and protecting communities from those who commit violent crimes. These efforts are not only punitive in nature, but also have a powerful deterrent effect, preventing individuals intending to step onto the wrong path. To further affirm the importance of the case, Mr. John P. Heekin, the United States Attorney for the Northern District of Florida, personally stepped forward to announce the sentence and made incredibly forceful statements. Mr. Heekin affirmed that the success of the prosecution process, along with this appropriate prison sentence, is the clearest proof of the Justice Department's steadfast commitment to sweeping away crime. This affirmation is like a promise of honor sent to the people about a brighter and safer future. In the speech, he emphasized that the residents in the Northern District of Florida totally deserve to have safe streets without the presence of toxic vices. His office has always remained committed to fulfilling that promise with many more aggressive prosecutions in the coming time. What do you think about the responsibility of each of us as individuals in cooperating with functional forces to maintain peace for the very place we live? The case of Timothy Lamar McGee was carried out through the strict supervision of the United States Drug Enforcement Administration and dedicated agents in charge, such as Mr. Miles D. Ailey in Miami. This event sent a remarkably powerful message that the law will always strictly punish any act that destroys the peace of the community. No matter how scheming and cunning criminals are ultimately, they will also have to face an appropriate sentence from the scales of justice. Looking back at the entire progression of the case, we cannot help but reflect on the humane values and profound educational lessons it brings. Every single sentence handed down is not only a punishment for the guilty, but also an opportunity for them to look back at themselves and correct their mistakes. At the same time, this is also an invaluable cautionary lesson for young people, helping them clearly realize the boundary between good and evil, between freedom and a place of imprisonment. The family is always the most solid foundation for shaping a person's personality. The wrong decisions of an individual not only destroy their own future, but also leave deep emotional wounds for their loved ones. Educating children about the harmful effects of bad habits and equipping them with necessary life skills is the shared responsibility of the whole society. Only when there is the joining of hands of family, school, and community can we build a solid shield to protect the future generation. The success of this dismantling campaign also proves to us the immense strength of the spirit of solidarity and vigilance within the community. When residents are not indifferent to unusual signs and are ready to provide information to the authorities, the seeds of crime will have no chance to multiply and develop. In your opinion, what specific action programs do schools and social organizations need to have to raise the youth's awareness of the law? Through the story of McGee's sentencing, we increasingly appreciate the silent efforts and immense sacrifices of the law enforcement forces. They have not minded the hardships and dangers to bring a peaceful sleep to millions of citizens. Their feats are living proof of the presence of justice and the light pushing back the shadows surrounding us. The safety that we are enjoying every day is not a given, but is the result of the sweat and tears of very many people. It can be seen that a safe living environment is not only a place without the shadow of crime, but also a place where neighborly affection is nurtured and strongly developed. When an area is haunted by illegal activities, the trust between people is gradually eroded and replaced by suspicion and fear. Restoring security and order is exactly the first and most important step to mend the cracks in social relationships, helping everyone get closer together. In the process of investigating this case, we cannot fail to mention the extraordinary bravery of the undercover officers who had to face countless dangers when infiltrating the underworld. Their job requires a spirit of steel sharpness and the excellent ability to improvise in all emergency situations. Every time they step into the criminal's lair is a time they bet their entire lives to collect precious evidence serving justice. The silent dedication of these officers is often rarely fully known to the public because of the confidential nature of the work they are performing daily. However, the results they bring are incredibly tremendous and have decisive significance for the success or failure of the entire campaign. Thanks to that personal sacrifice, notorious criminals like McGee could not escape from the net of the law that had been set up. Besides the role of the police force, the judicial system also plays an extremely crucial role in ensuring the strictness and deterrence of the law for the whole society. The public and transparent trial process helps people better understand the serious nature of the violations and the accompanying legal consequences. Fair sentences not only bring justice to the victims, but also consolidate public trust in the nation's legal system. Attorney Jessica Etherton, along with her colleagues, worked tirelessly to collect and present the evidence in the most convincing way before the court. The massive workload and heavy psychological pressure demand of them a professionalism and a deep, unshakable love for the profession. Their sharpness in reasoning and profound understanding of the law contributed to preventing the sophistry arguments from the guilty. The 10-year prison sentence for Timothy Lamar McGee is a long enough period of time for this subject to self-reflect on his impulsive and selfish actions in the past. The rehabilitation environment in federal prison is not only punitive in nature, but also geared toward the goal of educating and reforming people for the better. Hopefully, through the years of forging himself, McGee will realize his mistakes and find the true path to rebuild his life after serving his prison term. For young people, this story is a costly lesson about choosing the path for their own future in a society fraught with temptations. The immediate material benefits from illegal acts can bring fleeting wealth, but the price to pay is always too expensive and incredibly bitter. There is no lasting success if it is built on the suffering of others and the trampling upon the moral standards of society. Building a meaningful life originates from cultivating knowledge, forging skills, and striving for honest labor with one's own mind and hands. Any achievement gained from effort and sweat always brings boundless pride and a serene peace in the soul. Family and school need to frequently organize extracurricular educational sessions to orient students regarding these authentic life values. Along with that, local authorities and community organizations also need to invest much more in building recreational areas and healthy cultural and sports activity centers. When adolescents have useful playgrounds to develop their talents and make friends, they will have less risk of falling into dangerous social vices. Creating a rich and diverse living environment is a highly effective and highly sustainable crime prevention measure. Looking further into the context of current globalization, crimes are not only limited to a narrow area, but they increasingly have the tendency to link up and operate transnationally. Dismantling campaigns like the one in Pensacola, Florida, not only protect local residents, but also contribute to severing crucial links in the illicit substance distribution network worldwide. The close coordination between nations and territories is the key to radically solving the tough problem named organized crime. Let every citizen equip themselves with basic knowledge of the law to be able to protect themselves and those around them from the sophisticated traps of criminals. Understanding is precisely an invisible kind of weapon, but with incredibly immense power, helping us stay alert and make wise decisions in all situations. Do not hesitate to speak up to report wrongdoings, because silence is sometimes exactly the condoning for evil to take the throne. The commitment of those doing law enforcement work is a silent epic during peacetime, written with sweat and extraordinary courage. They deserve to receive the deepest honoring and gratitude from the entire community for their relentless dedications to a society of order and discipline. Let's give them the most sincere words of encouragement so they have more motivation to walk firmly on this arduous but also very glorious path of protecting justice. In conclusion, the incident of an evil sower having to receive an appropriate sentence from the law is proof showing that truth always belongs to goodness and fact. No matter how sophisticated and cunning dark forces are, ultimately they will also be illuminated and completely destroyed by the light of justice. Let's join hands together to build a more beautiful world where love and sharing are always the core values guiding all of our actions. Through the analyses and perspectives from many different angles, we see that the battle to protect security and order is a multifaceted picture requiring the participation of many forces. The recent event in Florida is a small but incredibly bright puzzle piece in the panoramic picture of the effort to forge a civilized and progressive society. Every single citizen can become an ambassador of peace and kindness through small daily law-abiding actions. To close this story heavily imbued with a timely nature and profound educational character, I would like to send my most sincere thanks to all of you ladies and gentlemen for taking the time to watch and listen. I hope that the information and messages we have just shared together will add strength to the positive actions in our community. Wishing you always abundant health, happiness, and a life filled with simple joys beside your most loved ones.